I met with this amazing casting director who said she wanted to put me on 90210, the original. That's how old I am. And that was going to be like 2 weeks later. We got on really well. She's like one of the biggest casting directors in America right now, or in the world. But then a week later, I had a near fatal car accident, which took away the left side of my face, front left lobe of my brain, a little bit of the right, apparently, my left eye, the vision, smell, taste, like just all these things. It really doesn't matter what was taken away, because it's your perception of whether it's gone or whether it's given you something else.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to Something for Everybody. My name is Aaron Machbitz. Louise, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And before we really get into the meat and bones of this conversation, I have a very important question to ask you. The most important question, let's say, and that is, how are you doing? Like, actually, how are you doing?
Oh, for real, how am I doing?
Yes.
I'm doing good. I'm just launching some new things. So there's always a little bit of apprehension that goes with that. But, I'm keeping the faith, and really it's about my mindset. So I'm just trying to stay mindful and not get into, old stories. And so that's where I'm at. Just, quelling the old stories, remembering that anything is possible, who I am, what I have to offer, and that makes me feel good. So I'm staying in that. I'm going to say I'm feeling good.
Beautiful. What's the apprehension centered around?
Whenever I launch something new, it's because I'm a perfectionist. So if I launch something new, I always feel, oh, should I do this again? Does it need to be like this? Should I give my clients more? It's just that. And for example, when I built my website, I found the animation graphic. So my homepage had like this, and then shooting across here, and then coming down here. So I had to redo that and go on. It's just that perfection, creative mentality, I think. I just want everyone to get the best of what I have to offer and make those changes that they need, made, and support them the best that I can. So that's where the apprehension comes from.
Yeah, I find that a lot with the people who do the same work that you do. It's interesting, because normally you start to get in this work like, wanting to transform people's lives and things like that because, just like you and me, right? Something pushed you in that direction, pain, incident, a loss,
Mhm.
whatever the case may be is. And then we get into the work and then we sort of sometimes don't take our own advice as well as we want to give it to other people. You know what I mean? At least that is for me, right? I'm talking about eating well and moving well and sleeping well and thinking well. And then sometimes I disregard those things because I feel like I can put in more hours and more time. But other people, they should get rest and recovery because they need it and it's good for your body and your soul.
Yeah.
But me, no, I'm good. I can keep going until I can push the gas pedal and push the
Yeah.
gas pedal, and I can be perfect. But when I talk to my clients,
Right.
like it's not, we shouldn't strive for that. It's not healthy. Like we can strive for excellence, but not perfect. But I can be perfect. And so at least I've come to know that battle. And many of the people that I talk to feel like they're sort of in the trenches with that as well.
It's one of those things, though, isn't it, that you notice it. So, for instance, I have a morning ritual. I do a gratitude list, I journal, and I meditate. And I should exercise. Sometimes I do. But if I don't do that first thing in the morning, then my whole day is off. I might get up in the morning and be like, yes, I've got this, this, and this. And then I don't, I'm in a hurry. And so I don't do it. And then I can notice it. So it's really, with everything, isn't it? It's a practice.
Mm-hmm.
We have to use these tools as a practice, and it's a daily reprieve every day, 24 hours ahead. We get a fresh start. And the other thing I learned that I share with clients as well is, when you wake up and you're not feeling great and you think, oh, God, and so then it just spirals and your day's not going right and all the rest of it. You can restart your day at any time. I always say you can just pop into the bathroom if you're somewhere and just, restart. Close your eyes, restart. And then, If you need to restart it many, many, many more times, you restart it many, many more times. It's just that it's really us that gives ourselves a hard time, which is, you know, common and just such a shame.
Yeah, we are our own worst critic. But I, for me, at least, that's been a strong determinant of my success. Because I mean, I came
Mm,
from an athlete background, and so the harsh critic in my head always pushed me to do more, to go do the extra reps or go to extra
right.
practice. And I thought if I lost that, then I would lose the chip on my shoulder. And now I've come to realize, just speaking with
Mm,
so many experts, that that doesn't have sustainability. There's no durability there. I also reach a ceiling that I can't actually surpass because I'm so harsh on myself. Now I can be honest with myself and say, Aaron, today you just didn't do a great job. But it doesn't mean I'm a shitty person or I'm a bad person. I just didn't do as good as I could. So I can reflect on that. I can journal about that. But no shame or guilt has to be put into that. I just say, okay, I can wake up tomorrow, like you're saying, I can restart and I can do better. But
right,
when I do a great
right.
job and I do the things that I say I want to do, why not tell myself that? And that's sort of where the restart can come from. Like, okay, Aaron, you crushed it today. You walked into that meeting, you presented great, you had a good podcast, whatever the case may be, specific example for the person listening. But yeah, I always think about that, how we are our own harshest critic, but how can we flip that and turn it to like and be our best inner coach and actually give ourselves the wisdom that we already know is true.
And, for what you just said, you were an athlete. That's intense pressure. So, I think we're overachievers. I'm not an athlete, but as an athlete, that's, the determination, the, uh, the dedication, all of it. I mean, that's a big career, and that's a big calling. And I know for me, I'm an overachiever. So it's, athletes, you have to be very dedicated, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, uh, it's part of the deal, right? To sort of become ultra obsessed with the one thing. And I'm glad
Hmm.
more like elite business people and elite sport people are talking about how you don't have to sacrifice everything. You do have to have
Mm.
this one thing in mind, like, I want to win the Olympic gold medal. Okay, well, that's like your sole focus, but that doesn't mean you can't still have a beautiful relationship with your family or your wife or your husband. Like, not everything has to suffer. And I like how that is sort of being switched around in sport. I mean, you had a dream of being an actress your whole life, right? Like
Mm.
until the thing happened
Yep.
that ultimately changed you. That's the same, sort
Yeah.
of pressure. And then you mix in like becoming famous. That's like a weird thing, like in and of itself. And so it's all quite interesting, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Um, it's funny, isn't it? How our journeys, we're going that way and that's the way we want to go. And then something happens and we're taken that way. And it's like you can either get really angry and depressed that your journey's been taken down a different road, or you can just go, okay, right, I'll go with it then. And if you just go with it and surrender and accept it and go with it, then it's extraordinary what can be presented to you. Um, I heard recently, I listened to this podcast, which is all about, spirituality and um, life after death and near death experiences and all of these things. And, it says sometimes things happen unexpectedly because the universe is trying to get us back on the path we should be on
Hmm.
the path where we really will do things that are that are more in line with our higher purpose. And that's definitely what happened to me. I never would have dreamed that I would be an author, a speaker, a coach, help people the way that I do. I mean, I love it. My life is more rewarding than I ever would have expected. I mean, bigger than acting and everything else, because I learned so much about myself. When we learn about ourselves and know, we can really understand the stories that we tell ourselves. And it's about, are these my stories or are these somebody else's stories? Are these stories that were put in my head telling me that I was this, this, and this? Or is this something I've been telling myself? So really, like, understanding what's really you is really a gift, because then you have a sense of freedom that you didn't have before. And you can change it, because it's like, if it's somebody else's voice, you can't change their voice, but you can change your how you take that in.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's so wild to think you as a 4-year-old girl having this dream of being a famous actress, and then now you're putting together this immaculate mastermind for women to transform the way they think about themselves and the way they think about the world. It's just
Hmm.
so, and then in between all of that, right? You lose your mom to cancer, and you
Hmm.
have this
Hmm.
almost fatal car accident. All of that jumbled up into you, this version of you now who's just like shining this bright light on the world. Immense, like inside of all of that pain and grief and loss. Like, if that right there doesn't, you know, immensely explain the power and the capability of a human being, I don't know another story that can.
Oh, I think it's really interesting. I wanted, my dream was to be an actor since I was 4 years old, and there was a lot of traumatic things going on at home, and it was my way of getting through them. It was like, oh, it's okay. I'm an actress, and I would tell everybody that I wanted to be an actress, and I couldn't understand why other 4-year-olds didn't know what they wanted to do with their lives. um, I'm like, what? You don't know what you want to do when you grow up? And they're like, So I soon realized that I was lucky enough to have my dream very early, but it was always, I knew I'm going to move to America. I'm going to be an actress. And my dad was in the business. My mom was a model and an actor, but not, like a famous actor, but she was successful. So my point is, I had an introduction into that um, side of the world, the entertainment business. And then my mum got sick when I was 16, and she was 40. And so then for 5 years, me and my grandmother were taking care of her, never thought she would die. And then she was 45 and I was 20, and she died. And, it was hard. It was probably the worst thing that's ever happened, because I miss her every day. But one of the things that I was hit with when she died was, I realized that I didn't believe she was gone. I didn't believe in death. Um, and the biggest thing, I think, well, those are big things, is, wow, we don't have much time here. Like,
Mm,
it can go in a second. So I've got to make the most of it. So then I made the move to Los Angeles a year later, and I thought, this was it. I met with this amazing casting director who said she wanted to put me on 90210, the original. That's how old I am. And that was going to be like 2 weeks later. We got on really well. She's like one of the biggest casting directors in America right now, or in the world. But then a week later, I had a near fatal car accident, which took away the left side of my face, front left lobe of my brain, a little bit of the right, apparently, my left eye, the vision, smell, taste, like just all these things. It really doesn't matter what was taken away, because it's your perception of whether it's gone or whether it's given you something else. And the bottom line is, because of that, I knew when I looked in the mirror for the first time that not only did I not recognize who I was, but I felt the same inside. So it was really, oh, wow, I was right. This is just our housing. But, other people don't think that when they look at you and start screaming at you and calling you a monster and asking you to leave places. But it was one of those things that I had to make a decision right then and there on the bathroom floor when I saw myself the first time in the hospital, was, okay, if I don't surrender and accept this, then I might as well stay on the bathroom floor, because nothing in my life will change. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to take a risk and just be in the moment and take each minute as it comes and go for it. And so I made some joke about the turban because I had no hair at the time. They brought me in some turbans, not like turbans, but that they give people who've lost their hair. So I made some joke about it being the wrong color. Oh no, this isn't my color, and everyone. So then, like, to try and cheer everyone up, but then they went to the doctors saying, "I think Louise is in more shock than we know because she's making jokes." Um, but they didn't know I'd lost my inhibition, so anything I felt, I was saying. But it was really one of those things. Like, the gift that I got from it was, okay, I don't look the same. People are looking at me and asking me to leave places. Friends of mine are looking at the floor because they can't look up. Like, there's all these weird things. Finding a surgeon that would, make me camera ready and all of this stuff. If I'd known it was going to take 12 years and 28 reconstructive surgeries and 3 brain surgeries and 5 eye surgeries and 250 metal bolts and plates holding my head together, then I probably wouldn't have been as positive as I was. But it's one of those things, isn't it, that you just have to stay in the moment, because there's nothing like a car accident like that forcing you to be in the moment, because that you can't think about what's happening tomorrow or whatever. Like, everything familiar to me was gone. The outside, my mom, my dream now in a different country, like all of this stuff, but it didn't stop me. It didn't stop me. And that's when I learned to meditate, to manifest, to visualize, to journal. I knew that I had to really go within and face all of the pain, anxiety, resentment, anything that I was holding from the past. I had to deal with and overcome, because I felt like, when you're first facing such a huge adversity, any adversity, you want to face it with all your strength and all your courage and, all your light. And so you want to rid yourself so that you're really armed with the best chance possible. And that also means surrounding yourself with like-minded people, surrounding yourself with positive people. I couldn't have people around me that were, oh, you're not being realistic, or, maybe you should move back to England. Any of those things, I was like, okay, can't have you around me right now, because I knew that if I took any of that on, that I wasn't gonna make it. So I would give myself 10 minutes a day to complain, moan, feel sorry for myself, whatever it is, cry. And then it was back to business, being positive, visualizing, be happy. How can I help others? All those things, which are really important, whether it's, from a car accident or, not getting the job that you want, whatever it is, you can apply those tools.
Yeah. I'll read you a quote that you once said. And it says, "Be comfortable with my insides to be comfortable with my outsides." That's what you said. What does that mean exactly?
Well, what it means is, because my outside, basically from the pain that I had gone through before this accident and that I had pushed down and never spoken about, when I saw myself in the mirror this first time, what looked back at me was as if my insides were now on the outside. All the pain, all the everything that I've been through was now staring at me. So, and because everybody else was uncomfortable looking at my face, I knew that I had to be comfortable from the inside, because that would shine through my eyes on the outside.
Mm.
And that would also make others feel more comfortable around me, because if you're comfortable about who you are on the inside, then other people will be comfortable about who you are more on the outside, if that makes any sense whatsoever. But that's, basically what I was just telling you. It's like, you have to really give yourself the best chance possible. And, to be able to wake up in the morning and not have the weight of your past holding you down, I think is really important, and something huge that you can do for yourself, because then you can go forward with freedom.
How How did you learn how to meditate, and how would you introduce that to someone, right now who wants to get on a meditation journey?
Okay. So when I did it years ago after the accident, I had no idea what I was doing, but I would just sit, do that was the initial one. It was more about just being still, and I would talk to my mom, and I would just be really still and focus on my breath. And then years after that, somebody told me that I should do this meditation class at the Psychic Institute. I was like, okay. And I didn't realize it was 3 hours a night. But what happens when you're meditating for 3 hours a night, or even 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night, or even 10 minutes in the morning, or 10 minutes at night, whatever it is, you're in touch with your higher self. And so everything that you've been holding on to is released way quicker. And so then, because of the clarity that you have and the connection with your higher self, I know this sounds woo woo. I don't know if your audience is woo woo, but it's who I am.
We're into it. We
um,
love it.
every, oh, okay. So I would think something. I would be like, oh, I would love to do that show. This was a big thing. I had a charity, and all the board was saying, "Oh, you should go on Oprah." And I was like, "Oh, don't mention that. I've always wanted to go on Oprah." And I knew it would be huge for the charity. It would be amazing exposure. It could help all these kids. Um, so I was thinking about it on the way home. And then when I get home, the phone is ringing. This is not a joke. The phone is ringing, and I pick it up, and this woman asks for me. I said, speaking. And she said, "Wow, you're a difficult woman to get hold of. This is so-and-so from the Oprah show." I thought it was a joke. I was like, yeah, right. So, um, but it was real. And the problem is, the whole time, because I was so attached to being on Oprah, that I kept saying to the producer, "I'm definitely going on, right? I'm definitely going." Like, this whole thing, they came to LA, they filmed, and then all this doubt was creeping into my head. And then, I flew to Chicago and didn't have pictures of me in the car from the accident. And so they said I looked too good. Now, probably when the accident first happened, to hear somebody from the Oprah show say, "Well, you look too good," I would have been, really, really happy. But at that point, for some reason, I was like, "No, I don't." But it's okay. It wasn't meant to be, obviously. Um, I was really sad for a while, but then it's like, okay, well, there's a reason. There's a reason, because something better's around the corner, or it just wasn't meant to be right now. And that's, I think, the biggest thing as well is, when we're meditating. So, in answer to your question, sorry. So the way I learned was to have your sit up and to have your feet on the ground, because then you're grounding. Like, rub your feet on the ground, so you're really feeling at one with the earth. And then I visualize from my uh, my tailbone, or whatever that's called. I visualize like an empty tree trunk or a pipe or something grounding in, going all the way from my tail into the ground, deep, deep, deep. And then I press a button, and everything negative, all of the fear, anxiety, resentment, everything, anything, sickness, anything in my body that doesn't belong there, shoots out through down into the pipe, down into the ground. And then I shut that. And then and then I open this, and then the gold light comes through, and then I visualize it going through every organ, every blood cell, like all through my body. And what happens when you do that, I start yawning, because you're releasing all this stuff, and you just feel this deep sense of peace. And I like to meditate like that because it feels good to have a process. A lot of people don't have a process. They just, sit down and they want to do it in silence, and they just want to do the mantra. Another way for people that want to learn to meditate, another good one is the candlelight meditation, where you just sit. You can have some light music on if you want, and you just stare into the flame. because you're staring into the light, so the darkness will kind of fall away. So that's a good one. That's simple too.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's it's so important for people to be able to connect to their breath, right? Whether it's through a
Mhm.
meditation practice, mindfulness practice, walking in nature, if we can if we can see our breath as our life force, as our best friend, something that we can connect to as an
Mhm.
anchor, especially when things happen or we feel overwhelmed or someone just yelled at us or someone cut us off in traffic, like anything that can just get us back into the moment. And I
Right.
think the reason why meditation is so powerful, one, it's like you're finally still, you get to connect with yourself, you're moving towards the center of your being, like all of these things that you're talking about. But then it applies in real life in
Mhm.
these situations. Like, I don't know,
Yes.
you're at an office job, your boss yells at you, you're feeling a little flustered, you have 2 minutes before you have to make this really important call that could potentially be the biggest commission of the year. If you're a meditator, now you can use that in a shortened form for like 60 seconds to get yourself back centered, to release what happened, and now you go and crush the call. But if you don't have that sort of
And let go
practice,
of the results, right?
exactly. Yes, 100%. 100%. And so if you don't have that sort of practice or you haven't worked on it, you're taking that anger from that meeting that your boss yelled at you into your next call. You won't be able to perform at your best self. Then maybe you don't land that commission that
Right.
you could have. And so there's downstream effects of everything. So if we can go to the very top of,
Right.
okay, yes, meditation is not monk mode, is not sitting in a weird room. Like, it's
Mm-mm.
however you want to do it, specifically how you said is a brilliant idea, but it has so much translation into your actual life that will make things better.
Right.
Um, and so I think if we can,
It's incredible. You're absolutely right.
and so I think that's one part of the maybe the self development or personal help world that doesn't resonate with people. Like, yes, these are the practices, but these are where they fit into your life. Like, if I'm a guy and I'm talking to other men, I'm like, you had 8 hours of work, really long days of work. Right when you get into the driveway, your wife and your two kids are inside. You want to be the best you can for them. You want to go into deep love now. So how can you sit in your car for
Mhm.
maybe 2 minutes and just try to let go of the
Mhm.
day and take some deep breaths
Right.
and be like, I'm about to see the people I love most in the world. Let's go and be present. And so, and if you don't do that, then you're going to walk into the house, you're going to step on a Lego that your kid just threw, and you're going to explode because you haven't released anything
Right.
from the day. And I think that's where we can get to people to actually buy into this stuff, to know how powerful it truly is to actually transform, the whole fabric of your life.
Right. And I'm sure you've heard this, that they say, pray when you pray, you're asking a question or for something, and then when you meditate, you're getting the answer,
Mm,
the guidance. And also, you know, you have guides, you have spirit guides. They can't help you if you don't ask. You know what I mean? You have to ask. Like, I know that sounds kooky, and I've know people who are like, right, but it works. Like the amount of times that, and I say it to my husband all the time. He's like, well, things just work out for you. And I'm like, before I go to sleep, I will say, universe or guides, whatever, um, show me a sign if I'm going in the right direction tomorrow, or show me a sign of what I should be doing, or you know what I mean. And then the next day, I always get it, always. Um, and then with regards to what you were saying about, if you're sitting in the car and your wife and everything else, it's also just asking your higher power to take it from you. Take my day. I'm giving you my day, and I'm going in now to wind down and be with my family.
yeah, so powerful. How do affirmations play into your um, meditation practice, if they do at all?
I used to do affirmations a lot, and I would have them um, on sticky notes around the mirror in my bathroom, so that when I woke up, it would be like, I am powerful, I am strong. I think it's more, if you're just going, I am powerful, I am strong, really want to feel it. The more you say it, the more you'll feel it. And when we feel things, we're giving off that energy. So we get the same in response. So, I don't do the affirmations in my meditation. That's a different practice. But I do them. And I do believe that consistency and really feeling those things, which, it's okay. Like I said, oh, you don't want to do it like, I'm powerful, blah, blah, blah. But you can start like that. And then the more you repeat it, then you'll suddenly be like, I am powerful. I am powerful. You know what I mean?
Right.
So affirmations are powerful. They are powerful.
They are. But I like
And
that
they can
framework.
shift your energy.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's how you sort of develop any skill, right? Like, I'm starting out as a young athlete. I don't know how to run, catch, or throw. So I just go out there and I try and I keep moving forward in the right direction. Then, 10 years later, I'm on my, varsity high school baseball team. And it's the same with a meditation practice or saying affirmations. Yeah, you might not feel powerful, but intrinsically you actually are, because you're a human being capable of more things than you can imagine. So you actually are
That's right.
powerful. So you're really not
Mhm.
actually lying to yourself, which means your brain believes it, you and your body just don't believe it yet. And then, just like you're saying, oh, like, okay, this is going to be a practice. I'm going to be consistent for the next 3 weeks. And then the third week you're like, well, fuck. All right. I feel pretty powerful. And then it's like, it's a game changer,
And
and it
also,
all
like you just
connects.
said, it's a practice.
Mm,
It's a practice. So people go, I'm not doing it right, but it's a practice. There is no right or wrong. It's a practice.
yeah.
It's a daily practice. We can't be too hard on ourselves. It's again being hard on ourselves. Sorry. Um, it's a real pain when we get into our heads and start going, well, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. Yes, you can. You really can. If I could get through what I got through, oh my goodness, anyone, anything is possible if you believe and you go for it and you have the right guidance and support. And, that's how I fell into what I do. I set up this charity with my doctor, and then I was, counseling families and people going through facial disfigurement or other traumas. And then I would, get letters from people asking for help. And so that's where my coaching business was really born. And I realized that I could use my tools, share my tools with someone else, and then they could get through it. And then I guide them and they get through it. And it's crazy, but it works. It's just about having the right team in your corner.
Yeah. Having the right support system, having someone be able to, recognize your blind spots and give you the appropriate tools to let you see as clearly as we see you. You've been able
Right.
to, shift your perspective, basically your whole life. And it's such a powerful tool to be able to pivot and adjust and accept the path that you're given and know that this direction is where I'm supposed to go, even though I wanted to go in this direction, like you were mentioning earlier. It's such a
Hmm.
cool thing, and I have a similar experience in terms of pain really being the only motivator and indicator for change. At least I think that's true. Um, but I
Yeah, I
never,
agree.
yeah, I don't know. I've never found anything else that, will drive it, because we can have these sort of conversations all day, and people might try these things if they're feeling great and their life's going good. They're like, oh, I don't need that. My life's going great. It's usually when something happens, we have this gut feeling, or we lose someone, or we realize how fragile life is, or there's something that catastrophic that happens in the world, or whatever it is. Then we think to ourselves, well, ooh, maybe I should, try and do all of this stuff. And, I encourage people to do it anyways, but uh that's like
Because
an
then you're
interesting
filling
thing
up your
about human.
tank.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just saying, when you were saying encouraging people to do it anyway, because then they're filling up their tank with
Mm,
their spiritual tank, as it were. So then you're armed with more, and you're calmer. And if something and when something, sadly, something always does come up, then you're able to deal with it in a way that you wouldn't recognize before. Sorry.
Right. Yeah, you're just arming yourself. I mean, I love that because everyone is going to go through something, right? It's just like if you live in the world and you're a person who
Mhm.
has anything, right? You're going to feel overwhelmed or anxious or sad, or you're going to lose a loved one. The people you love are going to die. You're going to lose your job.
Yeah.
Like all of these things are going to happen. And so how can we do the things you say here to armor ourselves to better handle those situations so that we can still move forward? We can still have hope. We can still chase our dreams or find our
Right.
purpose and all of those, things that make life actually meaningful.
Right. And also meditation expands um, everything around you. It makes your possibilities that much bigger, because you're awake, because you can see where you're supposed to be, because your intuition is so on point, because you're connected. Um, it makes all the difference. And it's powerful. We are powerful. And it's that, yeah, it sucks. There's always going to be something. Um, it's like that nothing is permanent. So you could be really devastated and someone go, no, nothing is permanent. Next week, this might not be anything that you would, this very well could be something you had forgotten about already. So, just knowing that you can get through it, and also that every challenge is an opportunity for growth, and every challenge is really a lesson, and it's been given to us for a reason. So it's about embracing that and going, oh, okay, right, this is challenging. What can I do to learn something from it? Or what can I use from my life to get through this? Um, or maybe it's happening because you are very shut down, and it's happening so that you open up and ask somebody for help. There's so many different reasons why things happen. I mean, you know, I never would have realized the things about myself that I learned if I hadn't gone through what I went through. I mean, I
Yeah.
always thought I was a baby, but I'm not. I was really pretty strong and courageous. And it's taken me a long time to admit that, or to be able to say it and believe it. Because before, people go, you're so strong and courageous. And I'm like, no, I'm not. You would do it too. You would do it too. And it's like, you know what? If you've done something, honor yourself for that. It's like celebrate the little wins and celebrate every win, and just celebrate you for any achievement you do in the day. Or if you're depressed and you don't want to do anything and you don't want to get out of bed, but you get out of bed and you take yourself for a walk, celebrate that.
Hmm.
Like every single thing you can do, celebrate.
Yeah. It's interesting to think about your story, and I was thinking about this before we got on about how sort of the moments before you started doing what you're actually doing now made you a better version of this, right? As an actor, you're acting, right? Now you get in a TED talk and you get on a
Right.
podcast and you're able to speak and emote and sophisticatedly talk about things. I mean, you learn that as an actress, right? And you spent 5 years taking care of your mom, and now that helping thing that was inside of you intrinsically is now the thing that's driving your business. And so I think those things are a little cool because the
Right.
universe is just like sprinkling in like what you might need to prepare you for your ultimate journey. So I thought that was cool when I was thinking about that earlier.
And I also realized, because, I love to reflect, that if I hadn't had the acting dream, then I wouldn't have got through a lot of things in my life, because it was always my end goal. Oh no, well, it's okay. This is painful, but soon you're going to be happy. you know, um, and then when that happened, it was just like, I lost my train of thought for a second. So when this happened, and I was told that all the doctors said, there's nothing we can do, nothing we can do. You're never going to look. I'm sorry. This is it. And no, you have to, because I've had this dream since I was 4 years old. Had I not had that dream, I wouldn't have persisted like I
Mm,
did. I wouldn't have had to have the belief in my journey and in God that I was going to be okay. I believed it. I made myself get to the place of it's it's going to happen. So it's either going to be you, doctor, or I'll find somebody else. Like it's going to happen. And that belief, when I was deemed socially acceptable, they say that's when the doctors said, this is because of you that you did this. You did this because of your mindset. So I realized that that's what the acting was there for.
Yeah. Yeah. And you say, now sort of your slogan, let's say, is, your mindset is your superpower. And
Yes, I love that. It is.
it is. I totally agree. I had a woman on the podcast who made another good quote that's very similar to that. And she said, your mindset isn't everything, right? Because there's other things that are important, but your mindset impacts everything. And I was like, yes, I think that's true.
So smart.
I think that's true. And if we can.
So it starts with your mindset.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the belief in yourself and your faith and, how you feel hopeful in dire situations, all of that is your mindset. And so I know you had a really strong relationship with your mom. What are the most powerful lessons that she taught you or continues to teach you maybe?
Ooh. It's so funny sometimes when people ask you, like, it's been a long time since she passed away, but that just, when you say things like, what was I doing? I'm like, "Ugh." She was amazing. She was amazing. I mean, she got leukemia when she was 40. She had 3 kids, had gone through a divorce to someone who was very unkind and abusive. And she basically was in and out of hospital for 5 years. She went through all of the hair loss and everything else. And I was basically her best friend, her nurse, her cheerleader, like her therapist. And so she would be in the hospital a lot. And there were kids with cancer and the adults with cancer, all on the same ward. Even though they had their own rooms, they were all on the same ward. And my mom used to say, this isn't right. The kids should have their own ward. They should be, around other kids. They should have toys. They should be painting things on the walls, having things that would make them happy. And so she started a charity called the Children's Leukemia Trust. And she wanted to raise money to build a ward for children at that hospital. And so we were always, all her friends, everyone very supportive. We did these like London to Brighton bike ride, which was 58 miles, just all these fundraisers. And sadly, she passed away before the money had been raised. And then what happened, and I'm sure this was her on the other side making this happen, this man was dying and he didn't have any family. And so he said to the doctor, who happened to have been my mum's doctor, I have this money. I don't know what to do with it. Do you know a charity or an organization I can give it to? And so the doctor said, yes, the Children's Leukemia Trust. So then I was already in America. I heard that they were starting to build the ward. And it took me a few years to go there because there were so many hard memories of the hospital. And so when I did go, I went with a boyfriend, and it was the most life-changing, powerful moment, because I went up to the ward and a nurse saw me and she was like, oh my goodness. And I said, I've come to see Mum's ward. And she said, oh my goodness. She goes, I'll take you down. So we went down and we weren't allowed in because they have a special air filter system so that the kids don't get sick from any bacteria, from going through the chemo and everything else. And so on the outside of the ward, there was a plaque, and it said, in memory of, this is dedicated to Linda King. That, first of all, I was like, oh my God. And then I looked through, there were little windows. I looked through the windows and I saw these kids running around, on little horses, and there was Disney characters all over the wall. And I realized, I was like, oh my goodness, this is God. This is where she is. This is what she did with an experience that was devastating to everybody. But she turned the experience into something, to help other people. And I think what I learned from her, that's so automatically when I was going through what I was going through and experiencing being asked to leave public places and being called a monster and all of this stuff, I was like, wow, people are really awful. Like, that's not okay. And I want to be the voice to say that's not okay. And so, I don't know if I would have automatically known to go there had I not witnessed what my mum did, which was, life-changing, absolutely life-changing. And a big reminder that there can be gifts in something that's terrible.
Yes.
And she definitely, I definitely witnessed that with her. I mean, she was amazing. She taught me that so many things that you can find courage even when you think there's no more to find. And, show up to your day like you show up, like you want to show up. Just so many things. She was a really special person. And also, sorry, we were both very psychic, clairvoyant. And so that would be something we experienced together too. And, I would get free and she would tell me it's okay. It's okay. Mums are everything, aren't they? They're our safety. And so suddenly when that was gone, I had to really grow up. And then when this happened, it was like, okay, I had to learn to be my own mum. And I think that's the hardest thing about being a grown-up, isn't it? It's like, oh, okay, now I can't make any excuses. I'm a grown-up. But that's not true. Don't judge yourself. That's the other thing that we're all so bad at, is judging ourselves and beating ourselves up. And it's like, no, you're perfect. You are enough. That is a affirmation that I used to have on my mirror. I am enough. I am enough.
Yeah.
Because all of us are more than
Absolutely.
enough.
Yeah. Very powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
I have, go ahead.
I mean, no, go on.
Oh, yeah. I have one more question for you. And it is, if you were going to put up a billboard and millions of people were going to see that billboard every single day, what would you put on it?
Anything is possible if you believe.
Beautiful.
So believe.
Absolutely. Where's if people want more of you, where should they go to check you out?
Oh yeah, go to louiseashby.com. There's freebies posted there all the time. If you're interested in the mastermind, that's going to be starting in mid-October for 6 months, once a week. It's going to be a very intimate, amazing group of women. It's very, very inexpensive. But it's because I've made it like that because I want, with the times that are going on, I want women to get the support and guidance that they need, not just from me, but from other women. You get the immediate support. And also, I offer complimentary discovery sessions. So if somebody wants to have a discovery session to even see if coaching is right for them or to get some clarity in an area, then I encourage you to go on there and book your free discovery session.
Great. Perfect. All of that will be linked in the show notes. And thank you for this conversation. And thank you for sharing your heart with the world.
No, thank you, Aaron. No, it's my privilege, my honor.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning into that episode. And if you enjoyed it, click here for another full-length episode of the podcast. And please don't forget to subscribe. But above all else, most importantly, please take good care of yourselves and others. And I'll see you next time. Lots of love. Cheers.